Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this community showdown featuring the Tomb Kings, who shall be led by AEROTITAN, Ark in the Black, coming in with that AEROTITAN. And today, guys, he faces off against the Vampire Coast, who shall be led by Chosen One, as well as Luther Harkin. So let's go ahead and take a look at these builds. So for the Tomb Kings, many aspects of the build are pretty traditional. It's super wide, going to be trying to minimize the effectiveness of focus fire from the Tomb Kings. Archers, of course, are always good against the Vampire Coast. If you take a look here at these skeleton archers, they have 140 range, and I believe handguns from the Vampire Coast have 145, so the Tomb King's archers aren't like Empire crossbowmen or Wood Elf archers, who of course have range 160, 170, 180, but nonetheless they're arcs of fire, and from a cost perspective, they usually can outtrade a lot of the missile units from the Vampire Coast. So this is what you really see. You see the Empire bring Huntsmen, you see the Wood Elves bring Deepwood Scouts and other missile units. High Elves oftentimes spend Lothern Sea Guard and archers. It's pretty damn common, and it's very effective against Vampire Coast zombie lines. So front line's going to be all skeleton warriors. I believe there's a couple Tomb Guard mixed in as well. So for anyone who's having deja vu, this was actually a replay from the Faction Wars tournament I had here on the channel, but it was certainly a very fun one with a very cool unit as well here with the AEROTITAN, as it's now called. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. So it's going to be skeleton warriors and a couple Tomb Guard in the front. Looks like there's going to be two. I think in total there's 5 or 6 skeleton warriors with 2 Tomb Guard kind of mixed in there. In the back we have a bunch of archers. So there's going to be skeleton archers going into the sunset, the Blessed Legion of Demonetization as well. Very good against Vampire Coast. Vampire Coast, to kind of mitigate some of the archer play, oftentimes does bring crabs and other big targets. So there's going to be the Rotting Prometheans, there's occasionally Morgul's, and of course Luther Harkin, Count Noctilus up on his Mighty Colossus. Are all juicy targets here. So having these guys to sunder the armor here with this nice ability is quite useful indeed. Now, another thing about Vampire Coast that's very strong is deck dropper sniping. Now, it's not as good as it used to be. When Vampire Coast first came out, they used to basically just bring like 3 or 4 deck droppers with handguns, get Luther Harkin, just pop your Lord in the face, and you're going to have a bad time. They've since been nerfed, but still, it's an effective strategy for sure. So most factions that do have access to like Harpies or Carrion or Fellbats, it's highly recommended you do bring those bad boys to shut down that style of play. Here on the foot, we do have Ark in the Black, Spirit Leech, and Soul Blight to lower the armor even further, so not going for the Buna. There are some okay Buna targets on Coast, but for the most part, I agree that with Arrow's pick here that I probably wouldn't opt to bring Buna. I mean, I guess you could use it against like Depth Guard and things like that, but if from a Winds of Magic perspective, I think the Spirit Leech spam on characters like Luther or other big single entities is going to be a little bit better. Last but not least, guys, we do have the AEROTITAN. So for the AEROTITAN here, he does have the Aloria Spirit Conduit. So I actually thought it was the other way around with the Casket of Souls, but he actually improves your power recharge rate as well as your reserve. So it's really nice for having a caster that likes to spam a cheap spell like Spirit Leech. And he does have Spirit Leech as well as Shem's Burning Gaze himself. Now for the forces of Chosen One, if we take a look here, he does have a combination of zombie powered deckhand mobs and bombers as well. So bombers are a nice inclusion because these bad boys do, of course, really distract Tomb Guard. They're really good against skeleton warriors. They have great burst damage against light armor. So I certainly think this is a very good inclusion. I think in total he has 2 of them. So one here, one here. Now, a little bit susceptible to archer play. Archers are kind of a natural counter because the archers can basically do a ton of damage on the approach or when they're on the approach and really wear them down. But if these bombers can go in Depth Guard, get like 1 or 2 volleys off, they've already paid for themselves. So 2 of those, a couple Depth Guard as well, just to buzzsaw through a bunch of infantry. And artillery is also quite good against the good old Tomb Kings. You use the cannons to take on the constructs and the mortars to take on the archers. Oftentimes you even see Queen Bess, which I think is quite good. We got some crabs over here. We do also have a Vampire Fleet Captain and Luther Harkin up in the sky, as well as some Fellbats, but it's not going to be enough to secure the aerial advantage. Yes, Luther could eventually tear through all these Carrion and different troops like that, but he's not good at that. You want to save his ammo and his focus fire for going after some of the bigger threats. Now, the Carronades are shooting in. It looks like the first of the cannonballs have been sent at the AEROTITAN here, as we're going to be calling it here in this game, because it is piloted by AEROTITAN here. And it looks like the cannons are kind of missing a little bit. Mortars have been shooting in, but I think they got a couple loose shots. I mean, where was that one going? That was just a wild pitch right there. But nonetheless, mortars haven't done too much damage against like the Tomb Guard and these other troops so far. So far the artillery salvos haven't been too punishing. It looks like they're now going to be going after Ark in the Black instead of the Titan. But if that Titan can, get in there and go fisticuffs with this main line, that's going to be kind of scary. Now up here in the sky, it looks like the Tomb Kings are going to be trying to snipe out the Fellbat. So taking out the Fellbat does take pressure off the back line here of the Vampire Coast. And the Vampire Coast doesn't have too many other tools for harass. They don't have any scurvy dogs or other things really to shut down the archers. So I think the Tomb Kings know here that if they take out this good old Fellbat, it's going to kind of free up the back line. In the meantime, the other Carrion have been sent to kind of tie up the back line and tarp it. But nice reaction here by Chosen One. He pulls back the Depth Guard, which will make very quick work with these Carrion, much quicker than the zombies would. So he is able to peel them relatively quickly. but it does buy a couple seconds of kind of safekeeping here for the big old Titan. In the meantime, some Nehekar horsemen, it looks like, were sent on the far side to try and target this carronade, but it looks like the zombie powered deckhand mobs with polearms were able to respond in time, and now the bow line is firing. So you can see the bows just saturating into the zombie powered deckhand mobs with bombs. Granted, a little bit of a mistake there sending in the Tomb Guard, but he responds very, very quickly and allows Ark in the Black to summon some skeleton warriors on top of the gunnery mobs to shut down those bombers. Now here you can see the engagement is being kind of weighted a little bit. The skeleton warriors and other troops are pulling back now, and the archers are wailing into them. Although a very scary situation here, you can see Luther Harkin coming in, guys, and getting some huge damage on Ark in the Black. So really nice pick there by Chosen One. Huge damage coming in. Slon Gold and Power Siphon activated as well, but not going to be too punishing as far as his Winds of Magic, but nonetheless, really good damage. So the Titan's going to be coming back in, seeking vengeance for his lord, Ark in the Black, and he gets a nice blow there on Luther, and Luther is weak to fire, and of course the AEROTITAN here does do fire damage, so quite substantial. Now this is really good. Huge focus fire here on the crabs. Their armor is sundered down to 90, which is better than, 120, and also Spirit Leech is going down, but again, volume of fire, you guys have seen this countless times in the Greenskin versus Vampire Coast matchup. Greenskin Daka, whatever you want to call this, Bone Daka, it can certainly do a lot of damage against these guys, and it looks like a very expensive unit. 1500 gold unit is going to be going down here really quickly. Invocation is going to be used, but it's not going to save them from the dreaded Titan who is coming to seek vengeance. In the meantime, Chosen One is going to be going for a gooning attempt, so he is trying to get Luther Harkin and go here after Ark in the Black. He's a little bit tied up here in the skeleton archers, actually. Now he's going to be taking some heavy crossfire, and you can see another Spirit Leech is going to be going down, and those very, very expensive crabs are now pretty much in the can. If you take a big look at the battlefield overall, you can see the Daka line here for the Tomb Kings going to be probably switching its sights to Luther Harkin. As far as the back line goes, Chosen One is doing a pretty decent job of defending it here, using the Depth Guard as a backline sweeper, but it seems like his defenses have run a little bit sparse. The Halberds here are pretty much busy with the Skeleton Warriors. Two groups of carrion that won their fight earlier have shut down this cannon, and the Ushapti summon, though the Halberds have been sent in to deal with it. Pretty much if AeroCrastic just damn clicks on top of the artillery piece, the crew is going to go down very quickly, and it's not going to be able to get away, even with the Halberds kind of jumping in. They would have to be like right on top of it when the summon went off, and even still, the Ushapti summons are very, very good at shutting down cannon pieces. On top of that, we do have a group of Nehekar horsemen coming in for another charge, so it looks like, though the bounce power is even at this point, this is something that happens all the time. Like, it looks good for Coast, and then suddenly, like, all their artillery pieces and their backline assets just get kind of canned by harass units, and it's going to be pretty grim bones for sure. So Luther Harkin has come back here to try and help, because again, the defenses of the Vampire Coast are stretched very thin, and I don't know if they have the resources to kind of secure this back line. We do, of course, have the Depth Guard here. Depth Guard in the front, going to be chewing through Tomb Guard, a very, very nice counter for sure. You can see pretty minimal damage being taken by the Depth Guard. I mean, the damage they do take has to go through their armor number 1, which is currently sundered. It looks like, yes, but on top of that, they do also regenerate. So the Tomb Guard, though they do have decent offensive output, they're really going to struggle against that armor. Here in the front line, you can see the big old Titan going to be squashing some zombies, which is great as far as kills. He's up to 15, but that's not really where he's shined this game. And the bounce fire is still even, but when this back line and all these cannons and mortars go, it's going to be really hard to stop that Titan. Yes, Luther Harkin perhaps would be up to the task. He could fly overhead, he could snipe it with his pistol, get some really good gooning there, breath attacks, cycle charge, but with the rest of the Vampire Coast army being gone, he's going to be kind of forced to engage, and it's going to be hard for him. So Carrion going in here, Shem's Burning Gaze as well, from the Titan blasting into Luther Harkin, which is pretty hilarious, but it is a free spell. And the Depth Guard are coming forward, doing a very good job, but this is the fate of Depth Guard in so many games. This is like that scene from American Gods when the Vikings come off the sea and just get taken out by a bunch of arrows. You can see brutal stuff here. These Depth Guard, 80 kills, negative 14, and they are just taking an absolute pounding. Their armor is actually sundered, I believe, by the Blessed Legion of Demonetization, so those guys are not in for a good time here, and they're probably going to be flipped upside down and put in that sweet old trash can. Now, over here we do have the Vampire Caster as well, and I believe she is on foot, so the Titan's going to be coming and stomping. The laser eyes are coming. Here comes the Titan storming across the desert, and yeah, she's not going to be long for this world. Nice little summon right there from the Vampire Caster, though. Able to get back here and get some nice, firepower into the lightly armored skeleton archers. Only have 10 armor, actually, so pretty, light is an understatement, I suppose. But he is able to temporarily shut down the line, and I think the Tomb Kings player knows that if he wants to win this, he has to go in for a gooning attempt. Luther Harkin has to try and take out Ark in the Black or get some really good plays here. Like, if he could take out Arkin, maybe juke out these archers for the rest of the game, waste their ammo, because if you guys look, I mean, the Tomb Kings archers are very, very low on ammo, if not empty. I mean, across the board, you can see they've used their ammo very efficiently. Luther's still healthy. And maybe if he can get some good gooning, snipe out Ark in the Black, get some lucky cycle charging here on the AEROTITAN, maybe, but it's still going to be a very, very uphill battle. In the meantime, here you can see the zombie-powered Deck and mobs with polearms are fighting to the bitter end against Skeleton Warriors, but Skeleton Warriors, I believe, actually, yeah, I wonder who wins in a vacuum. I mean, it's hard to say. They both have 120 models, but yeah, probably the Skeleton Warriors. I think their melee defense is a little bit higher. Hard to say, but yeah, probably the Skeleton Warriors, but Up here on the high ground, or the air, I should say, you can see here that Luther Harkin is going to be afflicted by one more Spirit Leech, and the zombie power gunnery bombs that were summoned actually doing a really good job, taking out 2 groups of archers, which is pretty good value. And you can see this this lovely caster here, the Vampire Fleet Master, or Vampire Fleet Admiral. Captain, whatever the hell it's called, is trying to run, but the Titan is actually, I think, a little bit quicker, close to the same speed, 32 against 38, so no, she should be able to get away, but it seems like she keeps getting tar-pitted by hordes of skeletons, and the Tomb Guard here standing in their formations, just watching the laser eyes go to work here on the Vampire Fleet Captain, who is currently afflicted by Soul Blight, so negative 30 armor, definitely going to make her quite a bit squishier, as she is already lightly armored. Luther Harkin up in the sky, looking for a breath attack opportunity, and does get it here on the Titan. Titan taking a little bit of work there, but here you can see the Vampire Fleet Captain is going to be getting stomped out by the Titan, and even if Luther is able to finish off Arkin, which it's possible, Hornswoggle certainly makes him very slow, 57 speed against 90 right now. The Goose is coming, the shots are coming in from the Blunderbuss as well, so the longer this goes, I mean, Arkin the Black certainly going to be in some trouble, but I don't think that Luther Harkin would be able to clear out a ton of these units here, these Skeleton Warriors and these Tomb Guard and different stuff like that. Like, the Deathshriek Terrorgeist isn't a great crowd-clearing monster. It's okay, but it's better than the Vampire Count one, but still not what its role is, really. So Arkin the Black getting capped with a pistol once again. Nice summon here in the back pocket, buying some time for the Vampire Coast, but you can see they're fully surrounded, and the Titan stomps through the crowd. That is such a cool-looking cinematic, just seeing some giant beasts just stomping through this battle right here. Some of the zombies get stomped as well, and it looks like the Vampire Fleet Captain is going to get crumbled by the AEROTITAN, and Luther Harkin probably going to be crumbling to ashes up here in the sky. He does have some support on the ground. You can see the taunt going down as well, buttering up the Titan, but this Vampire Fleet Captain's just running and just squealing for help as the giant Titan just lumbers after it. And there goes the stomp. Oh, right into the sand right there. Brutal stuff coming in from the Titan. Now the Titan does have 1400 HP, guys. Is Luther Harkin going to be able to finish off this Titan? That would be absolutely insane, and it looks like he did get Arkin the Black. If we scoot back for a second, you can see Arkin did fall, but nonetheless, the legions of Nehekara are endless. And at this point, I just simply don't think there's going to be anything Luther can do, as he is fully surrounded. And these are no mirror infantry, they're Tomb Guard. Tomb Guard are pretty strong. Titan stands victorious over the battlefield, and a new meme is born. The AEROTITAN is here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that Tomb King game. I know it may have been a bit of a playback for some of you guys that watched that Faction War tournament, but there were a couple really fun replays I wanted to show you guys, or mainly the ones that were sent to me, but there was some really, really good ones for sure. So guys, soon you're going to be seeing some really fun ones as well. I'm not sure if it's going to go up before or after, but we had a really cool Sartosa one in the Faction War tournament. So I'll be casting that separately, as some people did have issues with the stream. Sometimes when you stream over 4 hours on YouTube, they just like cut off an hour randomly, and they're like, hey, have fun with that, which is kind of ridiculous. But now onto a more serious analysis. I really like Skeleton Archers. I love the width. I think that's all good against Vampire Coast. Nehekara Horsemen are MVPs. Carrying are a great countermeasure against the Flying Air Force. The only wildcard pick here really is the Titan. You can go a couple different directions, bring different constructs, like a Tomb Scorpion. You can bring a Cambrian War Sphinx. But the Titan's kind of cool with Arkin because it does give you a ton of Spirit Leeches, which is very good against, characters like Luther, which are incredibly tough to finish off. So granted, he was still the last thing living, but clearly you guys saw the effectiveness of the Spirit Leech against the Lamprey's Revenge and some of these other troops on the ground. But yeah, it was good backline harass. The Titan did well. And as far as Chosen One's build, I like it. I think it has some teeth. I think it's good. What I would do for sure, though, is you need hounds. Like, yes, Nehekara Horsemen can screen out hounds, but if hounds are being screened out by horsemen, the Vampire Coast player, as long as they're cautious, is going to be netting an advantage as it pertains to kind of a gold investment. And those horsemen then won't be in your back lines. Your cannons are going to be safer. I would recommend at least 3 hounds in this matchup, just to either shut down your Shoppy Great Bows or tie up Skeleton Archers. Because you're going to be okay in other respects of the matchup, but the Archers are what's going to end you, like for most matchups for the Vampire Coast. Archers, artillery pieces, things like that. So I would highly recommend slipping in a couple hounds. And to do that, I'm trying to think what I would do. I like having 1 depth guard. I think that's really good. I would cut this gunnery mob. I would probably not try and contest the skies. I mean, I guess having a Fellbat's okay, but I would probably cut the gunnery mob, the Fellbat, and maybe 1 bomber. And just from there, I would get like 2 or 3 scurvy dogs, and I think it would really change the dynamic of that gameplay. It's micro-intensive, but a player like Chosen One can certainly handle it for sure. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this Tomb King versus Vampire Coast game, guys. A lot more coming your way in the next few days. And on that note, guys, we will see you on the other side. Take care.